Hey guys, Dan from Alliance Contracting here. Today we're going to talk about how to check out your D25980 DeWalt electric jackhammers. We're going to check the brushes to see what the service life is, and we're also going to talk about proper maintenance to keep these hammers running smoothly. The one on the right, that hammer is probably close to 12 years old. We've replaced brushes and armatures and various parts, but it's still going strong because we take care of it. You have to be careful. As you can see, these screws in each one of these indentations tend to loosen up and come out. So I always put them back in with some blue Loctite, but you got to watch that. As you can see on the cover, this screw is starting to back itself out as well. But fortunately, these 4 screws are what we need to take out to look at the brushes. You're going to want a T30 to remove those screws. Remove those 4 screws and then pry that plastic cover off. This is the armature housing. Then on each side you have these clear plastic little windows. You can slide those up and your brushes are in there. It's kind of hard to see, but what I'm going to do is release the brush spring and I'll show you how to pull the brush out. We're going to grab the spring with some needle nose pliers. Grab the spring and move it over to the side because you don't want to let go of that spring, otherwise it will go into a bad spot that we don't want to talk about. So I use the needle nose pliers to move that spring off to the side and rest on that plastic piece. Once we have the spring out of the way, you can pull the brush out. And there's still a lot of meat left on this brush here. So this one's looking pretty good. And you look down into the hole, you can see the copper armature. So that looks pretty decent. Now let's check the other side. It's basically the same process as this side. So just flip the hammer over. There's another clear plastic window here we open up. And there's our brush down there. Let's get this one out and look at it. On this side, I use needle nose pliers to pull the spring back and just kind of rest it right up there. So that gives us clear access to the brush. This brush looks pretty good. It's pretty normal. Make sure to close your clear plastic inspection windows. Then put the cover back on, screw it back in. I would suggest some blue Loctite to hold those screws in because these things vibrate so much. I actually have 3 of these hammers. The third one's not shown here. But if the brushes are going bad, you're going to notice a decrease in performance, maybe some sparking or smoking. And if the switch is bad, this trigger here, occasionally those go bad. There's actually a switch inside the handle here. Then it just won't work at all. But in this case, we wanted to check the brushes because it was cutting in and out. It's also super important to use the properly sized extension cord because you see how thick the factory cord is. Your extension cord should be at least that thick. I believe we use a 10-3 50-foot cord. You can get them for a little over $100 at Home Depot. But they make these hammers work to their full potential. And after each use, I suggest blowing these out with air. And you're also supposed to grease in here. We usually just smear a little all-purpose grease on the tips of the bits, maybe like once a month, and put them in there so it keeps all these wear surfaces lubricated inside. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you're feeling froggy, please hit that subscribe button. Thanks.